Hi, and welcome to Something for the Weekend, the first show of 2022. Happy New Year to you, and Happy New Year to our fellow co-hosts all the way up at the other end of our long virtual wheeled sofa in the West Midlands. I'm Ju Gosling, also known as the artist Ju90. I'm artistic director of Together 2012, who are bringing you this live stream today. Coming up, we've got art, craft, poetry, the Clockwork Paralympics, lots of recommendations for free activities you can do at home, and an interview by Robin Surgener with Black Box Belfast. So all of that's coming up later. First, however, we're going to go to the West Midlands for some introductions and audio description, and also to find out what they're dressing up to go out to stay in to do this week. And then we'll come back to East London for some introductions, audio description, and we'll tell you what we're dressed up to go out to stay in to do.
Well, hello and Happy New Year to everyone. I'm Tracy Surgener, and I'm up here in our West Midlands office in Sutton Coldfield. Behind me we have our red velvet curtains. Today I give you some description of me. I've got long blonde hair which has been put up in a bun because it's really long now. Still haven't had it cut. I've got pale skin, blue eyes. I don't wear glasses. I'm wearing a light blue sparkly jumper with a blue and white striped wrap just casually thrown over one shoulder, and my jeans, and I am dressed up to go out, to go to Paris virtually, to listen to a poetry reading.
And will we hear more about the poetry reading at the second half of the show in our week ahead section?
Possibly.
Just want to
and the enigma that is Tracy. And I'm Robin Surgener. Hi, I'm Business Director at Together 2012, and Happy New Year from me too. As ever, she looks better than me. So I have increasingly white hair, and a bit longer than it was before Christmas. I have not had a cut myself. I am wearing dark blue plastic rimmed glasses. I'm also pale, and I think it's the time of year. Below that, I'll start at the bottom. I'm sat in my wheelchair, lovely RGK, and I'm wearing a kind of grey camouflagey tracksuit trouser. And above that, I'm wearing a black hoodie with a silver dragon and the word iron written on it. It's actually for a swimming sweatshirt, but I'm wearing it because I'm going to the Isle of Burke to the Dragon Riding Academy.
Well, we can't top that back in East London. So, but here we are in Canning Town, where we've been locked up longer than we care to remember. Behind us, you can see just a little bit of the famous Together 2012 graffiti banner. That's covered in images of some of the activities we cover over the year, including visual arts, live arts, carnival arts, music. Oh, goodness, theatre, poetry, spoken word. I'm having to look at it in the mirror opposite me now because we just do so many things, and we really hope you will join us and join in from home with our really comprehensive programme, about which we'll be telling you more shortly. In front of the banner is our teddy bear, Tony. He's a nautical teddy bear with a captain's hat and a little sweater on, and Tony is waiting to see whether he can finally wear a medal if our team win this week's Clockwork Paralympics. That's coming up about halfway through the show. We've just been love bombed by a tabby. Random pets tend to appear mostly feline unless the assistance dogs manage to open the stair gate, in which case all bets are off. At the moment, the dogs are quite quiet, but as you can tell, the cats are just desperate to get back on screen again. So finally, my audio description. I'm a white woman with pale olive skin. Unlike Tracy and also Julie, I've got the other kind of corona haircut. So I've got a corona crop hidden under a sort of silvery grey baseball cap. I've got green eyes behind black plastic glasses. I've got black plastic wrist braces, silver coloured jewellery, and a very bright short-sleeved top, which is perhaps akin to the lime green of a tennis ball. And I'm dressed up to go out to stay in to support Emma Raducanu at the Australian Open in Melbourne, although not perhaps to support Novak's. Julie, you were saying to me that the tennis actually takes place in a stadium that we could see from our apartment bedroom when we were in Australia in 2000 and I think it was either 2008 or 2009, but I was very, very fortunate to be hosted as the guest of the Arts and Technology Network of Australia for a big symposium. And we stayed on, we met lots of people, we had a fantastic time. So it's great to kind of think I can actually really picture that stadium. But really, of course, I can also picture being in the bright sunshine when it's finally actually got cold in London and it's only 2 degrees outside. So, Julie, what are you dressed up to go out to stay in to do?
Well, I got very excited because this week there was a massive report about an ichthyosaurus that was discovered in Rutland Water. And it comes from about 180 million years ago it was alive. So I thought I'd find Jodie Whittaker and go back in time through the TARDIS and grab Alice, well, not grab, but suggest, invite Alice, Dr. Alice Roberts, to come with me and talk me through what was actually happening 180 million years ago. And I'm really looking forward to that because it's apparently, well, it's one of the largest sea creatures of that era. And it was around the same time as dinosaurs, but it's very, very unusual find. And it was in such good condition that they even had the tooth of a predator that was embedded in its tail. They found that at the same time. It was just stunning.
Yes, I don't think we've got it on our recommendations list, but all this week on BBC Two, 8 to 9 o'clock, Digging for Britain, they're showcasing some of the most exciting archaeological sites of the last 18 months. It seems like they've made far more discoveries during the pandemic than previously. I don't know why that was, whether sites have been quieter or they've had more volunteers available, but it's been a fascinating programme. And yes, I've been interested to see Alice. So have you given us your audio description?
No, thank you for reminding me, Ju. I just got overexcited at the thought of Jodie Whittaker and Alice Roberts going on a TARDIS ride. I've got my Christmas hat on, which is very similar to one that Dr. Alice Roberts wears.
Only nicer.
Only nicer, and it's coincidental, of course. It's a black sort of cowboy type hat, traditional cowboy hat. I've got gold hair with silver streaks. I've got dark rimmed glasses on. I've got a black backed T-shirt with a picture of the TARDIS and Doctor Who in front of it to one side. And I'm wearing assorted stones on my wrist.
So I dare say that's carrying on the archaeological theme as well. Have you been watching Digging for Britain, Tracy and Robin?
I haven't actually, but now you've mentioned it, it might be something I have a look at. It does sound quite interesting.
Well, they'll all be on iPlayer, and as I always say, I do, since the pandemic, have some of the paid for subscriptions like Netflix and Disney Plus, but I spend most of my time on iPlayer. They really have the most fantastic set of programming. What was another really exciting thing they found at the beginning of the week? There was
Mammoths.
Oh yes, they found a whole family of mammoths in the UK, and very, very old mammoths, not like the mammoths they're sort of digging up out of the ice, perfectly preserved today. So yeah, that was another fascinating one. They've had lots and lots of stuff that's medieval and Roman, but I think there's nothing like the prehistory. But moving on, we run a free clubs program that's available over Zoom and phone for any disabled person who wants to join in. And, you know, it's entirely up to you to define. We certainly don't ask for paperwork. So on a Wednesday morning by phone, we phone you, we pay the costs. we have our pop-up poetry club where we read and perform poetry together, maybe do a few voice exercises and have a chat about poetry as well. We have a different theme every week, and you're very welcome to join in from home. Send us the poems if you'd like, or just join in from home for your own pleasure. We publish the theme of the poem each week on our website, and next week's poem is a poem about a painting. So we'll come back to that again at the end of the session. But I'm going to ask Robin, or unless you've got Tracy's poem lined up first, who'd like to go first?
I'll go first. So the theme of the poems this week is winter. So my first poem is by Sterre Ploeger and it's entitled Winter. It's very cold in the winter. In the wintertime, people can catch cold or flu. And the weather is so bad. People get sick. That's why people go to hospital. And also, people can get pneumonia.
I don't think that's the happiest poem I've heard about winter, Crystal, but it's sadly rather accurate at the moment, particularly when most of the colds are Omicron. Stay home, stay creative. That is the best way to stay well. Julie, would you like to read us Alison Marchant's poem, please?
Yes.
And Alison is our club's programme leader. She's an international artist in her own right, as indeed are all of our team. And she also works 3 days a week running our clubs. So this is Alison's poem.
Yes, thank you. It's called Winter. We barely see the light of day, and frost settles in the mornings, icing the puddles and leaves cold to touch, the forest in its frosty glare as birds settle. This image I share, a winter landscape, a chilly wind, wrapping up warm as the robin sings. A solitary magpie in the overgrown garden haunts me, one for sorrow, in an empty house of ghosts of things, objects so dear.
Thank you, Alison. That was really evocative. I'd love to read it again. And fortunately, we have a highlights and links page from our live stream. So if you go to our if you're not watching this on our website, www.together2012.org.uk, go there, follow the links to highlights and links, and you'll find all of the poems that we've read out today, plus all of the art and craft we show, all of the videos and links to all of the recommendations. It's usually up by 3 o'clock on a Thursday. Robin, what have you got for us?
Okay, my first one today is going to be from Glory Sengo. Again, the title is Winter. When I was skiing down the snow, I was skiing really slow, and everyone was skiing faster. Then I was skiing slowly still, then skiing down again. I had a cup of tea and biscuits. Then I went on to do more skiing slowly. Then I went to ski faster and stopped, and I had my food, which was fish and chips. When the lady was skiing down very calmly, then stood back up and skiing down again, she was very hurtful and started skiing down, and she went, "Wah!" And she starts getting up and yelled very loud. And she stood up and went skiing down. And then she went to have a cup of tea and biscuits and put newspaper on her hair so that her hair would get dry. And then she went up and skied again and stopped. I went to have fish and chips. Then she scuttled down in the snow. She stood back up. Then she was being hurtful. Then she started calming down and skiing calmly, and then starts skiing fast, then goes to have a cup of tea, and then goes and sits down for a bit, then gets the newspaper on her hair so that her hair would get dry, and she had a little bit of tea. Then she goes skiing back again in the snow. I go back and have some fish and chips.
I don't know whether that is made up or a real skiing holiday, but it certainly gives me a real sense of people going skiing. I love the idea of the fish and chips, but I noticed that the ski resorts are very upset because the British tourists have been banned, because they say although they get tourists from other places, the British tourists spend a lot more money on food and drink. And I can't help thinking that there's a fish and chip shop in a ski resort somewhere kind of absolutely closed at the moment because of lack of British tourists like glory. So this is by Kate Rollison, who's an artist and also our youth development worker. And again, it's called Winter. Burrowing down beneath blanket, quilt, duvet, barely leaving the house. A friend tells me it's dark when she sets off in the morning and dark when she leaves work. For the small blessings, the piercing sun burning cold frost on the grass and evergreen trees. So I seek for the small blessings, the piercing sun burning cold frost on the grass and evergreen trees. Thank you for that, Kate. And I think, Tracy, now you have another one for us.
I have one by Dawn Barber, and this is entitled Winter Walks. On a cold winter's day, he walks the pathway. The wind blows in his face. He pulls his scarf up to his neck and the collar of his coat. Even though it is cold, he still has a walk every day. There's a little cafe near home. He pops in to have a tea. Then he heads off to the library to get some books. Time now to head off home to relax in his chair near a warm fire. But he thinks he shouldn't sit in it for too long. I must do something to keep myself busy. So his thoughts don't take, but he thinks I shouldn't sit in for too long. I must do something to keep myself busy. So his thoughts don't take over everything.
Thank you for that, Tracy and Dawn. I love the way that you always tell stories, Dawn. So I think you have another one from Dwayne Barber. Is that right, Robin?
I do. So this is from Dwayne, and it's called The Signs of Winter. That chill in the air, the trees go bare, the frost and cold in your toes, the red mark on your nose, your woolly hat and your scarf, the snow throwing marks your laugh. There is snow on the ground and snow falling from the sky. You hope the day goes okay, and your world won't delay. You don't want to slip, you don't want to slide, but you wish the reindeers will give you a ride. Winter blues, winter cold, you stay at home and try to be strong and bold. What are the other signs of winter? How can you tell? At least it's not as hot or as bad as hell.
Thank you, Dwayne. I did like that. And Julie, I think you and perhaps Tabby Jinx would like to finish with your poem.
Thank you, Ju. Yeah, I was circled by a little Tabby who ultimately took the leap. So she's on my lap at the moment. I changed the title of mine because everybody was writing winter as their title. And I thought, no, I'm going to change it. So I changed it to January. The sun is low, very little light shines through empty windows. The holiday garlands now gone, leaving no space for shadows. This can only be winter time. A glimmer of hope shines as the days grow longer and the sun grows stronger. The dogs lie huddled in their beds, not anxious to run in the shaded, frozen yard. The cats sit looking through the windows, darkly hoping for a flash of wings or the flick of a branch blown by the wind. No creatures stir outside as the cold light harshly shows the shape of things not there. But soon, soon will the earth start to warm, life coming back as shoots start to form. Soon, soon will the days lengthen further, the birds return and the sun shine longer. Until then, we all huddle down, waiting for spring to lighten our days. The cold reminds us that time moves on and seasons change.
Thank you, Judy. That was a brilliant way to end. So we're now going to have a look at some of the work from our art club. And sorry, I've just realised that I was speaking into Julie's mic and not mine, in the sense that mine was switched off. But moving on to our art club, we have an art club session every Friday morning on Zoom from 11 to 12 with still lifes. And what we do is Alison creates the still life and shares it on Zoom, but can also, if you prefer, and particularly if you prefer to work offline because of data costs, she can WhatsApp it, email it, text it to you, whatever suits you. And she describes the image at the beginning with a little bit of mindfulness so that people can really focus on it. So without further ado, I'm going to get Robin to audio describe an image he hasn't seen for the first time this year.
Okay, so this image, it's a white backdrop. There are the centerpiece is a very red-leaved plant, and if I was cleverer, I'd tell you what it was. But it's very, very vibrant red color, which is placed on a white saucer with a brown rim. To the left of that is another white saucer with a brown rim, and on that is a wiggly yellow candle on a blue and white crossed kind of candle holder. And then on the right hand side of the flower is a glass candle holder. Looks almost like some sort of chemical vase that's been used to create a candle holder. And out the top of that is a green or a kind of emerald or jade green candle. Both candles are burning, and the green one has a collection of wax.
Thank you, Robin. I think that plant is called a poinsettia, which is the kind of plant you get given at Christmas and always dies. And indeed, I can just see a couple of tiny leaves losing colour. So let's have a look at some of the artists who sent in work. So this is by Sophia, and that's in felt tip. And Sophia's got some blue hearts running along the bottom. So well done, Sophia. Now, this is by Leigh Brooker, and I think that's in coloured pencils and pastels. It's a really beautiful representation of the image, as we've come to indeed to expect from Leigh. This is by Glory Sengo, whose poem we just heard, and that looks to me like it's in pastel because it's got plenty of sort of where you put your fingers and all the colours blend in together. There's some lovely blending going on there. Then this one is by Dwayne Bryan, and Dwayne's painted this, and he's really got the patterns in well with the leaves. So he's very much focused on the poinsettia, but put the candles either side to frame it. And one of the things I always love about seeing the still life is that every single person's still life is different. You don't need to use colours to join in. It's perfectly fine just to use biro or a pencil and a piece of paper. And then finally, this is by Sheryl Mcclellan, and Sheryl's achieved a beautiful effect. She's focused in on the top of the poinsettia with the blue underneath, and then sort of faded out everything else into a circle in the background. It really is absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Sheryl. And the art club also meet on a Tuesday for a make and natter session, again on Zoom from 11 to 12. But with the Zoom clubs, we are now opening the Zooms up half an hour early so that people can chat if you want to. The pandemic's really been going on far too long, so we thought we'd have some extra networking opportunities this year. One of the stars, I think it's true to say, of our Tuesday session is Duncan Bridgestock, who started making some wonderful collages last year from recycled card and exhibited 50 of them in one of our 3 exhibitions for the Together 2021 Disability History Month Festival. That exhibition is still online, as indeed is the whole festival. So do go and check it out. It's simply called Because I Felt Like It. And this is Duncan's first collage of the year. It's all in black. He's created just one shape, which is very evocative, but very, very abstract. I don't know if you've got anything else to add to that, Robin.
My immediate thought was, for the older generation, it made me think of a space invader.
Yeah, and I think that's probably a pretty good description. So we've just got one more person making collages this week, and this is Ellen Goody. And what Ellen has done is combined pieces of paper that she's drawn in with felt tip with old pieces of wrapping paper. It's a very interesting technique. It's not the best picture in the world because we're just doing Zoom screenshots, but I think that's a very, very interesting way to go, Ellen. So now we move on to our own craft specialist, Tracy Surgener. And Tracy has got yet more ideas about what we can do with our wrapping paper, but also use it to start cheering ourselves up, which, judging by some of the poems this January, is obviously needed. So I'm just going to pop the first picture into the stream now.
Okay, so here I've actually collected more things than I ended up using. But I did say at the end of the last year that to collect all our wrapping paper and our excess Christmas bits and pieces so that we could use them for some crafts this year. So I ended up using a bit of wrapping paper and the red wrapping paper and some scissors and glue, really. And then what I've done is I've made a flower. So what I did was I used the ribbon reel, which I found is quite good for me to use as a stencil because it gives me something to hold on to. And I drew 9 circles on the plain side of the wrapping paper. And there they are, all cut out. And then it's a really easy flower to start with. So there, I've just cut all the circles in half and then just folded them, sort of twisted them together to make little cones. So I just used a little bit of a glue stick down one edge to make the cones, and there I've got all my little cones. Then this is a technique we used a lot last year. For the stem of the flower, I've got some more wrapping paper, very interesting monster paper. And the technique we used last year is you start at an edge and roll it in. So here I am just doing that just to remind people what we did. I'm using a a skewer. So I just find them a lot easier. That you don't need to. You can simply just do this with your fingers, finger and thumb, and roll it in. But for me, this technique's a lot easier. And then what I've done is I took each of my little cones and glued the side and placed them either side of the stem. And then when I got to the top, I've used all the circles that I had left and just put them, I put one in and then I just put the others in so they stood up a little bit to give it a little bit of height and a little bit of bit more 3D. And this is my first flower of the year. And this flower, for those who might recognise it, is a foxglove. And I absolutely love foxglove. They grow in wildlife situations and they're just really pretty. So my aim is to come up with for January, I'm going to do a different flower every week and see if we can come up with like a collection of flowers, like a posy of flowers by the end of January. That's my hope.
That sounds great. And if the pattern, and I think you've got 2 options with that, haven't you? You've either got a nice bouquet to put into a sitting room now, or if it's very, very obviously Christmas themed, then it's next year's Christmas decoration.
Absolutely, Ju.
Yeah, I've got various sort of sparkly artificial flowers that I keep specifically to come out at Christmas when it would just be far too expensive to buy flowers. I don't buy flowers anyway, but I think Christmas particularly. So yeah, that's absolutely brilliant, Tracy. Thank you. And again, it's 2022. So next we have the return of our guest presenter, Sterre Ploeger, with another activity that she's enjoyed doing at home and you could do too. So coming up, just give me a minute, is Sterre.
Hi, I'm Sterre, and I made a painting of fireworks for happy new year.
So just to give a bit of audio description, that was yet another really simple, accessible way of painting from Sterre. What Sterre did was take an empty toilet roll holder, cut it sort of about 2 inches, I think is what it looks. So basically sort of cut into the top all the way round and pulled those bits out, so it almost kind of turned outwards. And then just used it to dip in paint in different colours and print onto black paper where it looks like rockets bursting. We've, considering the pandemic and the lack of parties in East London, there was a lot of fireworks over Christmas and New Year, and they tend to continue year round here. So yeah, I think it's not just looking back at New Year and fireworks night. I think it's also looking forward to a year full of fireworks, and really you can use any colour paint to do that. So thank you so much again, Sterre. So it's that time when we get competitive, because I don't know, we've got Robin, the multi-Paralympian champion, and he's a very competitive person even when it comes to playing with toys. So introduce your teddy to us.
Well, today competing, we have PJ, the pajama teddy. This is one of those, like a little rucksack, but for overnights you can get your pajamas in there. Obviously, I can get all of my pajamas in this little teddy, and he's very much ready to race.
So what you need to do to join in from home is decide, are you going to support the toy on the right or the left of the screen? With the Beijing Paralympics coming up and us all very keen to support Team GB, if not the organisers, we have the return of our Clockwork Snowmen. Today they're racing over in order to have a sort of white surface, they're racing over the back of my National Lottery Community Fund whiteboard, which is upside down in the studio. So you can see quite a lot of unwanted background, I would say. Emily Welsh says, I'm voting left this week. So what about you, Robin?
I'm going to go right.
You're going right. So the London contingent will be voting for the left. So I think Robin will end up getting you to do a little bit of commentary. Just give me a sec.
Right, as we are here in the London Paralympic studio on our wonderful looking ice sled race. We're going to see how we go. So here we go, getting off to a marvelous start here. There does seem to be a bit of a slope on the surface there, and there's always like a bit about Crown Green bowling. The London competitor appears to have lost their way somewhat, and they may actually have gone off a precipice. So London, I'm very sorry, but your competitor will need to be replaced next week.
You could probably tell from the fact that the direction that our competitor went, the slope was actually the phone, because it was almost impossible to get the phone to sort of tilt over enough. But never mind, Tony says, and next week, better luck next time.
We won't rub it in. We'll just put the little medal on the bear here, just a nice little gold medal for this week.
from your family's vast medal collection again. Well, it's more than time that we looked at the week ahead, where we recommend things that you can do to join in from home, mostly for free. I just want to flag up again that the whole of our Together 2021 Disability History Month Festival is still online on our website, with all of the recordings of the performances for you to enjoy, as well as the exhibitions, a whole host of family activities. And if that's not enough for you, we've also got our Join In From Home pull down menu on our website with lots more, including all of the past activities where you can join in with Tracy and join in with Sterre. So, Robin, what do you recommend first?
Okay, sorry for the slight paper rustle there. The first one I'm going to, as we started the show, and poetry is such a big element of what we do. There's another workshop. It's called Speak the Word, an online poetry, spoken word, and writing workshop. This is happening on this first and third Saturday of every month. They welcome everybody, and if you are interested in click through to the website, it talks about their access. They describe themselves as queer and trans affirming as well. So it kind of, and it's very much about, we don't want to know how good you are. We want you to be involved. And it's at 6 till 7:30 on Saturdays. And having read into it, they do stuff in the off weeks as well, where they kind of work with you on things if you get involved.
Great, I've seen that advertised before. And again, you may well be watching this programme recorded because you couldn't possibly do something in the daytime. So that's a really good one. The first thing I'd like to flag up is it's not being organised by, but it's linked to Trinity Boy Wharf, who have long been sponsors of ours indeed. Julie has a studio down at Trinity Boy Wharf, which is not very far away from here in my studio at all. And Together 2012 has a storage unit. And about 3 years ago, Trinity Boy Wharf took over sponsorship of the drawing prize from Jerwood. So it's now known as the Trinity Boy Wharf Drawing Prize. And two of the artists in this year's exhibition, Victoria Claire Burney and Fiona Mitchie, are going to introduce their drawings and discuss how drawing and landscape registers human actions. There's going to be a chair called Professor Anita Taylor, and there's going to be a live Q&A, and that's on Tuesday the 18th, and it's free online, of course. Julie, what do you recommend?
Well, it all seems to be happening on Tuesday because Winter Watch comes back, which I find thrilling. I love it. It's going back to familiar places that they've been before. They've got the cameras.
So that's
out.
a BBC show.
I was just about to say that. Yes, you'll find it on the. You can. Sorry, I'm thrown now. It's got a website on the BBC website, where it's got loads of resources and videos to watch. It starts on Tuesday at 8 p.m. on BBC Two, so you can watch it live or through the iPlayer.
Sorry to interrupt you, Julie. I just wanted to make it clear it's not like these bird watches and things where it's some sort of national project that you're interacting. It's a TV programme. Tracy, what did you want to recommend first?
Well, my first recommendation is, as we are an arts organisation, I thought I found, and my recommendations this week are all on BBC iPlayer, and it's the Six Music Festival, and as there haven't been any festivals for a couple of years, and probably not going to be any this year, who knows? It's one of those things you can access whenever you want, and it's a collection of clips from previous festivals, interviews with artists, and some performances, studio performances. So I thought, well, if I want to get into the festival feel, I can just turn the TV up and have a little dance around the lounge. So yeah, that was my feel-good recommendation for this week.
That sounds fantastic. I'm going to hop in and do something for Thursday now, which starts tonight. You don't have to go to every one, but it's a series of 5 Thursday dance workshops, primarily aimed at women over from the sort of rough age range of 40 to 65. So should we say middle-aged? And it's a theatre and dance company called Lindbeck and Dr. Emma Davies, and it's called a dry disco. So it's a great opportunity for people who are sort of not only doing dry January, but exploring their drinking, to be able to go and dance with other women and talk with other women, but also explore their drinking at the same time. And I just thought that sounds so interesting. We could all do with a bit of dance and art at all of these things. So they do say they very much welcome younger women and older women, but they have a particular target group, which I presume is also health related. But that's been my only health related thing that I found this week. Robin, what do you want to recommend next?
Okay, so my next recommendation actually works quite well with your Tuesday and landscaping one. I mean, it's called Windows on the World. This is at 4 till 5 on Saturday again, and it's at Manchester Art Gallery. But essentially, it's using a couple of artists to explain through the use of Windows as an artist's tool. Now, whether it's just to look through, whether it's using you to guide your eye to a particular point within, what you can see out the window, or as a metaphor or an idea provider for something else. And I just thought I think it would work really well. And actually, kind of, if you're into kind of that kind of stuff, the two together would probably work really well.
I think that's absolutely right, and I think the windows become such a metaphor for disabled people, and particularly as social care users, whether it's us shielding at home, sort of looking out through the window and occasionally having people come and wave at the window, or the sort of tragic stories that we continue to hear about people in residential care and their lack of access to the people that they need around them. So I think the windows become very, very significant in a way that perhaps, it wouldn't have been 2 or 3 years ago. Julie, what's your next recommendation?
Well, again, it's a Tuesday evening, but however, you can have it on demand. It's an online comedy discussion, actually. It's not how to do comedy, but to look at why comedy makes us laugh. And it's called Why Does Comedy Make Us Happy? It's a discussion led by Dr. Angus Fletcher, and he looks at 3 main effects on the brain that comedy has. And why comedy is universal, and it is. It's one of the few universals that we have. That and colour recognition. Anyway, booking's available, and you can either book live to save a seat. It's free, of course, or you can go back and see it at your leisure.
Brilliant. And just to flag up, Julie Newman presented and compared, I should say, an evening of women's comic poetry as part of our festival with Wendy Young, Sheryl Mcclellan, and
my mind is blank.
Helena Ascoff.
Thank
there
you.
you go. It's called Having a Laugh, and you can see the whole performance on the website under the History Month Festival link. We've just got time for 1 or 2 more. Tracy, what else do you recommend?
Well, I'm recommending Around the World in 80 Days that was on, I think it was on over the Christmas, with David Tennant playing the part of Phineas Fogg. And just a bit of escapism, really. I think I didn't get a chance to watch it over Christmas, so I am hoping to watch it. And I think it's series of 8 programmes. So just David Tennant was one of the best Doctor Who's. So it's got to be watched.
Yeah, iPlayer I think I think the BBC really did us proud over the holidays, and iPlayer have a whole feast of things, and of course Winter Watch you can watch on iPlayer as well. So I'm just going to finish off, because I can, with one very quick flag from York Art Gallery, which is Wednesday. And it's Wednesday the 19th from 5:30 to 7, and it's a talk by artist Jade Montserrat. She looks like a really, really interesting artist that everybody should have heard of, but unfortunately I hadn't. She's a black artist. She's done a huge range of work, and this is about a talk about a series of performance films, Clay, Pete and Cage, which sparks conversation about land ownership, environmental crisis, race, trauma, belonging, and the body in art. So there's something there for everybody. And she collaborates with two filmmakers who've made these films with her. So all of these links will be on our highlights and links page from around 3 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon. If you're watching this recorded, then you'll find those links are all already there. And just generally, we're not paid to say this, but check out iPlayer anyway. So that's just about it for today, apart from our and finally section, which, Robin, would you like to tell us what's coming up?
I'll try. Yes, we have an interview with two members of what's called the Black Box Project in Belfast. It's an arts organisation primarily for people with learning difficulties. So if and they tell you all about it. So I think enjoy, and there's a film at the end which is aimed, as I found out, about relaxing. So be prepared to just chill for the last 5 minutes.
Well, that sounds absolutely perfect. Yes, I remember Black Box when we went to Belfast with my abnormal exhibition, and it was a part of a wider festival that they were in, and loved their building, it has to be said, although I suppose these things are sort of slightly less relevant in pandemic times. So we will be back next week recording live from 12 to 1. We would love you to grab an early lunch and join us. You can always join in by live chat or catch up with us later on YouTube or our website. So it's goodbye from East London.
And goodbye from West Midlands. So this afternoon I am talking with Sinead and Maureen from Black Box Projects, based in and around Belfast, I understand. Sinead, would you like to tell us a bit more about Black Box Projects, please?
Yes, good afternoon, Robin. Thanks for having us. We're really excited to be here. So I am Outreach Officer at the Black Box, and the Black Box is a multidisciplinary arts venue in Belfast, and it is in Belfast Cathedral Quarter, right in the centre. So there's lots of different things go on at the Black Box, and I'm Outreach Officer for Black Box Projects, which are for and by people with learning disabilities. And we run lots of different workshops, including creating connections and music, all arts-based activities where we encourage people to express themselves through music and the arts.
Maureen, can you tell me what you like to do at Black Box and what your involvement is?
I am part of the Moonbase group that Sinead leads. Moonbase is for people with learning difficulties and their friends and volunteers. And I got involved during lockdown when Sinead was one of the first people to set up a whole load of Zoom meetings about 3 times a week at the start it was. So it kept us all occupied. And then when the lockdown ended and the summertime came, we went down to a forest on the banks of the River Lagan and had meetings outside with a tarpaulin over us. And then we got back into the actual building in the Black Box. I have done things like I have, because I do junk journals. I don't know if you've heard of junk journals, have you? I started junk journaling, and I've taught it at Moonbase voluntarily. One session on that, and then another session on making Christmas cards. That was actually the one on junk journaling was Zoom, still the lockdown. The one on making Christmas cards, we were face to face. Well, we were socially distanced. Shoney is very careful about the social distancing. But now we're back for this month anyway, back to Zoom because of Omicron.
Sinead, just what is the range of activities that you do?
Well, as Maureen's already explained, some of them with different arts and crafts activities, but we also have music, storytelling, poetry, drama, and really anything that the group are interested in doing. Just before Christmas, we had a drag persona workshop, which was brilliant, with Gemma Hutton, who's a drag artist here in Belfast. And I have to say, everybody brought their A game. Maureen, you had a brilliant outfit that day. So it's just really anything that the group would like to try, and any way that people would like to express themselves. Maureen's already said she has led some group sessions, and would like to encourage that as much as possible. So if someone has an idea or an interest, we'll try our best to facilitate that.
It sounds marvellous. In a few moments, we're going to watch a film that Black Box have made called Feelings. Would you like to tell us a bit about the film? I take it was made in the park in Belfast.
Yes, certainly. So we were really excited because Disability Arts Online supported this project. So Moon Music had already written a piece in collaboration with Ruth McGinley, who is a pianist here in Belfast. She's from Derry. And the piece of music was centered around relaxation, what sounds people enjoyed hearing, and what made them feel relaxed. So that was really interesting. It began with people sending us perhaps bird song they recorded in the garden, or the sound of running water, or going for a walk in a local area, which again became so important to us all over lockdown. And I think everybody universally appreciated nature and the connection to nature. So we had this piece of music and we wanted to create a video. And to do that, we worked with Sarah Riseborough, who is a Northumberland-based artist. And that was really interesting because that was obviously on Zoom, so Belfast, Northumberland. And what we were trying to do was create visual images to go with the music. And I hope you enjoy watching the video. And it's that combination of visual and the sound, and how that makes you feel. And as you mentioned, the park, we went on several socially distanced walks in Botanic Gardens in Belfast and in Ormeau Park. And the video is to bring all of those together and hopefully to give us a sense of calm and relaxation when you're listening to it. And a resource to tap into, because here we are, as Maureen mentioned, in another semi-lockdown. So it's something that we can use and listen to again and again. Maybe Maureen would like to say something.
Well, some of my artwork was in it, a photo of the River Lagan, and what else? A wee painting I did. It was an abstract painting. I think, was the bird song, was that Sarah's recording? The bird song?
Yes, that's right. Another group member called Sarah had put some bird song into the piece. That's right.
And it's Sarah speaking that speaks. It's hard to find words for feelings.
Yes, that was very interesting because that was Sarah's idea. We were talking about feelings, and Sarah said it is hard to find words for feelings. That became the title. Yeah, you're right, Maureen.
Well, I've watched the video. Our Together TV viewers are also going to get to watch it soon, and I do know it's up online, so we'll put a link to it. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I found it really relaxing without knowing that was the purpose of the film. So it truly works. So before we watch it, can I just say thank you so much for joining us, and I look forward to some more art coming out of Black Box.
Thank you so much, Robin.
Okay, thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
It's hard to find words for feelings.